right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Talk Story Unscripted. I'm Pete, and Doug's not here. So it's just me and my guest, Ethan Parker. Ethan, how are you, bro?
I'm awesome, man. It's good to be here virtually with you and
Yeah.
yeah, to connect. This is a great.
Yeah, this is great. So Ethan is all the way in Florida. What town are you in? What side of the peninsula are you on?
Yeah, I'm on the west side of Florida, just west of Tampa Bay in a little town called Safety Harbor. I'm about 20 minutes from Tampa Bay.
Wow, what a cool name for a town, Safety Harbor. That sounds great.
Yeah, special place. It's really cool. Yeah, I love this area.
That's awesome. And so for those who don't know, Ethan leads Harborside Music in Florida. And actually, we're featuring Harborside worship during our daily worship segments in the morning. So you may have seen it and you may not, but this is the guy who's involved with that. And there's a lot of original music birth there. As a matter of fact, my favorite song that I heard, gosh, maybe a couple of years ago now, maybe, and it was a song called Fullness. And that was a great song. And did you write that, or did your team write that?
Yeah, we as a team wrote that together. It was just literally one afternoon. We had just scheduled writing sessions of just times of worship. And yeah, the verses, Father, Son, Spirit, and just take the limits off. We receive your fullness. And it just kind of came out, and it really, God has used it in our lives and our church's lives just to really, we want the fullness of who you are, God, not just a
Yeah.
part of you. God is three in one. So how do we experience all that he is and inviting that into our lives? So making
That's
ourselves
awesome.
aware. So yeah, that song has just been powerful.
That's great. So you head up Harborside Music. Can you tell us a bit about Harborside, like your vision, the mission, maybe your focus?
Yeah, 100%. It's been just an incredible year, to be honest. I mean, as you know, as crazy as it has been for us and for so many people, of just unexpected. Obviously, a year ago, no one really thought we'd be getting into what we got into, and the Lord just really refined our vision, I think. And so, I think if I was answering this question a year ago, it'd be a little different.
Mm,
But through this process, God has just given us a lot of clarity into the secret place, which is just when no one else is watching, and what
mm,
God wants to do when no one else is watching is so important. And so, uh, the vision for this past year has been all about a new form of worship, which most worship songs are written for the large corporate gatherings. But as some people weren't able to gather, we quickly learned that worship doesn't stop, but that it's actually where we were created to meet with the Lord, which was in that secret place in that quiet time. And God just began to reveal to us so many things. I mean, you see Jesus always retreating to the mountain, always
yeah.
retreating to a place to get still. And he would say, I only do what I hear my Father doing. And so, this attempt of how do we start to lead people in worship, um, and help them learn to worship when there's not a worship leader in front of them.
Right.
And you kind of quickly realize that if a pastor's taken away and he's not encouraging me, how do I receive my encouragement? Or if a worship leader with a guitar isn't playing and leading me, how do I worship? And so I think what I learned is we became very dependent upon a pastor and a worship leader to teach us and lead us in worship. And
Yeah.
I think the Lord is showing us, our vision now is really to equip people to approach the throne of God when no one is watching them, and to begin to hear from their Father and begin to commune with God. And that that's what we're created for. I love
Yeah.
the passage. He didn't come in the thunder, or the fire,
Yeah.
or the storm, but he came in that whisper.
Yeah.
And to hear a whisper, you have to be close, and you have to be still and quiet. And so how do we help lead people to a place of getting near the Lord and still, um, and beginning to commune with their Father? So that's been a whole different vision. It's not like, we are still writing. There's a total purpose that we've always had for the gathering time of worship. But I
Great.
think this, and we call that the meeting place. For the meeting place, we have that's our corporate time when the body comes together, and we can give the Lord our offering of our worship. But the secret place, uh, nothing changes. That's, we were talking, we have 1 hour out of 168 hours every week for the meeting place, which would be the Sunday service, right? So what do
Right.
we do in those 167 hours when we're not? And man, we should probably start to really help people know how to truly engage with the Lord and begin to
Yeah.
dwell in his presence. So
That's
yeah,
cool.
the vision is really has shifted this year in a really, really cool way.
Are you guys able to meet still during all the COVID craziness?
Yeah, we've started back meeting, and we've started to grow and more people are coming.
That's great.
And I think life is getting, things are opening and people are getting more and more busy. And I
Yeah.
think now, as people, they say, let's just get back to normal. But I don't think God got us so still on accident. I think it was to
Yeah.
teach us how do we live a lifestyle of being still before him every day. And so I think, yeah, that's become all right. Just because life's getting busy, we can't lose, what he has created us for, which is that nearness, that intimacy.
That's awesome. I love that. That's really good. Tell me, in regards to writing, is it a writing team, or do individuals come and go, hey, I think I have this song, and then you guys collaborate, or what happens in that regard?
Yeah, it's always a special process when the Lord gives us a song. A lot of our songs really come either in our individual time of worship or in our corporate times of worship. Uh, and then also our team, we just come together and we worship. And, it's just incredible when you just start to just pour out your heart to the Lord. Like, it's inside of us, and what we're going through, what we're dealing with, how we long for the Lord, all those things are buried. And so, yeah, I think we're learning. It's not, let's just sit here and grind it out for the next 3 to 5 hours until we get a song. Worship is just, it's different. It's our heart's cry to the Lord. And so,
That's great.
how do we just that be the focus? And if a song comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And also, something that we really tried to really make an emphasis of this past year was sometimes worshiping the Lord without the voice memo. We have our recorder, that we turn on, because sometimes we get in the habit even of, let's worship to write music. And sometimes
Right.
the Lord he just wants us, so kind of separating the two, learning just to spend time with the Lord, and then also um, have times of where we're worshiping and open to what God wants to write through us.
Oh, see, and all this time I thought you might have had some sort of secret sauce, maybe late night pizza or an espresso, a double espresso shot. Don't you, it doesn't at all help, or not really, huh?
I mean, yeah, coffee does get in the mix there, for sure. When we're in this, more so in the recording process, the capturing, those can
Yeah.
be long, long days, long nights. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's a
absolutely.
lot of fun.
Absolutely. And I thought, I want to geek out on guitars a little bit. I play guitar, and I love, I've watched some of the videos where you guys are leading worship, and I love that Sunburst Martin. Is that right? Is that what that is? That small
Yeah,
body Martin. Love it. I think
yeah,
that's
I
probably
love
it.
it
That's
too.
why it's so good.
Yeah, I love the double O body styles. So that's
Yeah.
the OODB. I found it in a pawn shop.
No way.
Guy did, guy didn't know what it was worth. Had a scratch down the side of it,
Oh
and you
my.
know, I offered him to I had a Breed Love, which is a little more known brand, and
Yeah.
I said, could I make a trade or put this towards it? And so got it for next to nothing. It was such a gift
That's
from
awesome.
God, and yeah, that
Yeah.
you when I've never been so certain that I was supposed to get that guitar. When I saw it, I was like, that's what everyone hopes to find in a pawn shop
Oh,
is this,
absolutely. Yeah. There was a time
So
that people would come to Hawaii to find Martin ukulele guitars and just regular guitars as well. And, they would be sitting in a closet somewhere. And, yeah, that is the best find ever. I have not been that fortunate. I have a Martin, it's a D35, and this guy who had it didn't want it anymore, and he just gives it to me, and I go, hey, I can't afford to pay for it. And at the time I was about to move to Australia, and I said, look, I can give you my stereo and some, maybe I forgot how much I gave him, but some cash. And he goes, okay, that's fine. And I was like, oh my
that's
gosh.
awesome.
And it was really good. And it was an older one, and it had a Brazilian rosewood. So for those guitar people out there, the value of that. And I thought, man, and I still have it to this day. So yeah,
Super cool.
those are good. Those are great to have, those deals. But I also heard from a little redheaded bird, you're not just a songwriter and not just a worship leader, but apparently you're a sailor as well. As a matter of fact, you like sailing into bridges. Is that true?
Ah, I do not like sailing into bridges, but that has unfortunately happened. Uh, yeah, that was like, I was in college. It was the first boat I ever had. And yeah, the
And it,
engine went out. The current was pushing me into the bridge. I
oh
told
my.
my roommate who was on board with me to throw the stern anchor out. He threw it over and it wasn't attached to the boat.
Oh
And
no.
it was
Oh,
like the worst of all worst, could have happened. I turned the boat around, and it's kind of like pedaling a bike. When you pedal too hard, the chain pops off.
oh
So
my
this
goodness.
boat, it was like week 2 of having it, and I just turned the wheel super hard and just keep spinning, and the boat's not turning. And I'm just like, so
Oh
I
no.
fixed that, obviously, but yeah,
And so
no, that
do
was
you still sail today?
yeah. I own I lived on a 36-foot S2 monohull, and did
Wow.
a lot of sailing over the past 2 years.
Oh man, that's
Yeah,
so
and
cool.
I I love any type of boat. I sold my Hobie Cat maybe 2 years ago, and because I
Oh
was
wow.
on this boat that I'm living on. But you name it, I love to sail it. I'm getting into kite surfing right now. I've
Oh my
just got my
goodness.
whole setup, so that's the next thing to learn.
Well, now you need to come
But
up here and you can hang out with that little red-headed bird. His name
yeah,
Devin Haney.
man,
And
yeah.
there's some great points to go kite surfing there. It's great. I don't do that, no way, but I love sailing. I had a Hobie back in the day. We used to call it the Vietnam boat because it literally looked like it went through a war. But yeah, so we can do that. But I'll leave the surfing to you and Devin. And speaking of Devin, who's that little red-headed bird, he speaks really highly of you. He says that you were really his mentor, and he's the reason why he's leading worship today. So speaking to other people who might be watching this and thinking, I feel like I'm called to be a worship leader, or I feel like I'm a songwriter, but I'm not sure what to do. What advice would you give to someone like that is really trying to work out their calling and so forth?
Worship. I think that's the greatest advice. Learn to know who God is, learn to be near him. I love the story of David, and David was in the field with his lyre. He had a normal job, but he's watching the sheep out there, and every day he's just, I can just picture him in this, playing this field, whatever his setting was, just in awe of who God was. And he wasn't distracted with, Instagram. He wasn't distracted with, all these things we get distracted with. It was just him and a lyre. And that
Mhm.
lyre, that stringed instrument, like he became so talented with. And I love his progression. He starts in a
Mhm.
field, undistracted in all of the Lord, just not learning to be the best, but wanting to just get better and worship the Lord with it. And
Right.
then, the time comes when the King Saul is troubled and he's saying, who is skilled? And they
Mhm.
chose David. He was the skilled musician. And so, he goes from the field quickly to, in the palace. And from there, God just keeps elevating him. And I think it all came from a place of worship
Yeah.
and choosing to not distract himself with what was going on in the world. We use this word, we have to be relevant a lot. And
Yeah.
I don't know that I really, there's probably some things that are good to know, but I think the greatest advice I could give people, turn off what distracts you, get out, and, especially obviously in Hawaii, get out and enjoy the beautiful creation that God has made. Get in awe of who he is and begin to worship the Lord, and begin to thank him and draw near him and enjoy those times with him. I think that's still my advice. No matter what season of life we're in, our opportunity is to just worship. And, you know, it's been incredible seeing God continually open doors. And I think that's what happens for worshipers. God will just keep opening the door. And, I think of Devin, uh, seeing his journey, but just seeing, I'm like 16, 17 years old, and he's like 11 or 12. He's just this little skinny, redhead kid. And
He's still
he's,
skinny.
oh yeah, he's still skinny, but at 11, he was real skinny, right?
Re-
But he had this hunger and desire to learn guitar. And, I got to be his teacher. And I don't know how great of it. Hopefully, I was a great mentor, but we had a lot of fun in those lessons. And I just remember his
Mhm.
hunger and desire to learn. And so I think, um, having a true intention for wanting to get good at something, not for impressing, but for the
Yeah.
sake of wanting to honor the Lord, steward. If I can get
Mhm.
good at something, why would I not? If God
Right.
has given me the ability, the more I steward even just my time and my talent, the more he is more. And that's kind of the greatest lesson that I've learned. If I want more of something, I have to learn to steward what I have. And
Yeah.
so if I want more of God's presence in my life, I have to learn to steward my alone time with him. If I
Yeah.
want, even resources, just stewarding what he's given me. If I want to grow in my worship leading ability, steward the platform that he's given you
Mhm.
now. If it's to lead your friends, in a field, starting out. And it's it's probably the craziest job one could ever have, knowing that God has called me, anointed me to lead other people to see how worthy God is.
Mhm.
That's an insane job.
Yeah.
It's not for me. It was a backup plan. This was before the Lord really encountered me. I was pursuing music, and I knew there would be to me, worship leading was, if you can't become a huge successful artist, be a worship leader. And Pete, the Lord just destroyed that in me in the best of ways,
That's
showing me
awesome.
the weight of what it looks like, and even the skill that we can involve in our pursuit to create something that's beautiful and pleasing to the Lord. So I know
That's
that's
so
a
cool.
lot, but I think for worship leaders watching or people desiring, anyone watching, honestly, no matter what you're pursuing in life, just to know that God always has more of his presence. He has more doors he wants to open. He has greater plans for our lives. And those aren't the things we're seeking when we just begin to seek him and just become in awe of him. The natural byproduct is God just begins to open up doors. And that's because we're just close enough. We're grabbing his hand, and now he's leading us, and that's the greatest adventure we could ever live, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's really great. And that really speaks to what you were talking about earlier, how this year has been different, and how it's worship is not just in a corporate situation, but it's what are you doing by yourself when you're in that secret place. And that brings me to, we're running out of time. I can't believe this, but that brings me to this the very next thing on my list here. You guys just finished a project, or at least for me, it seems fairly new. It's an interesting album. You're calling it a visual album, and it's called The Secret Place. Tell me about that. How did that come about? And describe it for us.
Yeah, totally. So this is an album for people. I call it more of a tool than I actually call it an album. I see that God has given us a tool to use to learn to meet with him when no one else is watching. And so each song is not written in the place of we. It's not like we come to worship you. It's all written in the place of I. And that's in that, I have come. And so the whole album is one voice singing, meant to show us that this is becoming our heart, when this can become my heart and I'm singing to the Lord. So there's 8 songs on there with actual lyrics, and then there, I believe, are 5 songs that are instrumentals, and each one of these instrumentals is a title. And so one is called Pray, and so we created a soundtrack for people to just spend time in prayer to. One
Wow.
is called Dream. So it's a soundtrack for your time of just catching God's dreams. One is called Read. So it's your underscore for your time of reading the word. One is called Listen. So it's, yeah,
Yeah.
self-explanatory. Just be still and listen. And then the 5th one is called Sing. And that one is sing the Lord your own song. So we created
Oh,
music
wow.
because, it's great that we can sing other people's worship songs, but the Lord wants to hear what's on your heart. He wants us to learn to pour out what we're dealing with. And so
Yeah.
the goal is to create a track that could really do that.
That is awesome. That sounds great. And for those who are watching this, make sure you tune in. We're going to be playing that whole album in its entirety in the morning. So I love what you have to say about that, Ethan. That's going to be a great practice for those here in Hawaii, that they can apply this. They can turn it on, they can watch it, and they can do what this thing is supposed to do. I'm sorry, I don't mean to call it a thing, but this project, The Secret Place. I love that. The whole concept of that. I never really thought of The Secret Place being that type of thing where you're left alone with the Lord, and it's your time to be dedicated to him. Really excited to be able to talk with you, Ethan, and excited to show people here in Hawaii your music and what you guys are doing at Harborside. And I just want to finish off and just ask you one simple question. We have a minute left. The future. Now, you just told me before we went on, you've got a huge thing in front of you. The future looks really awesome for you. Tell us about that. Don't mess
Yeah.
up now. You
So,
know what we're talking about, right?
yeah, a week from tomorrow, I get married, and God
Woo!
has just blessed me with just an amazing person. She's a worship leader.
Oh,
She's a
awesome.
worship leader of her parents' church in Lima, Peru, and
Oh,
how
my.
God brought us together is incredible. She's a surfer, and so I feel like we'll definitely be making our way out to you guys out in Hawaii to
Oh, awesome.
enjoy worshiping the Lord together and enjoying some waves. That would be awesome.
That would be great. Congratulations, man. That's exciting. 1 week to go. And I'm really looking forward to hearing more about that. And when you come, you're going to have to come and you're going to have to play, lead us in some worship. That'll be so cool to do that. And
Yeah,
yeah. And of course, you and your wife, right? That's
yeah,
going to be so
totally.
great. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for your time, Ethan. This has been great and really encouraging stuff that you shared there. And until next time, everyone, aloha.